Hi and good evening, everyone. My name is Albert, and this is Vlogs About Nothing. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your night to join me. I really do appreciate it. Wouldn't you know, this whole interconnectedness thing is just so lovely, and I just absolutely love every second of it. Actually, I don't. And the thing is I don't like it when we have to talk about certain topics that are just like cringe to begin with, but at the very basic of what we discuss also kind of hones in on what likely can be potential solutions to these problems. And boy, do we need solutions now more than ever. And so thank you for joining me. I talk about nothing, so if you're not interested in listening to me talk about nothing, I definitely would swipe like now, or I wouldn't have even clicked on the thumbnail to begin with. If you guys haven't noticed, on a personal side note, quick sidebar, I had to go back to using my old phone because the new phone that I had got was just worse than garbage. If there could be such a thing as something worse than garbage, I mean, because from what I understand, garbage is actually quite valuable and can be utilized for certain energy extraction at like landfills and stuff. So actually, garbage does have its use. That phone did not. So the phone was less than garbage, to be perfectly clear. And so, yeah, I know we're just welcoming a ton of new subscribers. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be a small part of your life. I hope to be a big part of your life. You feel me? I'm trying to have pings go off at all inappropriate times of all hours of all days from here till forever. So tonight I want to talk about why it is a problem to to try and correct things with violence. And so obviously our our just deepest sort of sincerest kind of condolences out to the Thompson family, right? Because Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, and interesting enough, this was brought to my attention early this morning, and I did not do any research until just a little bit ago. But I want to talk about it because it's a problem. I understand that, moreover, none of us like being victimized as it concerns our very basic self. Anytime our sense of self is questioned, rightfully so, we should, fight back, right? And I guess what I mean is now more than ever, I think, has time has gone by, universal health care is in fact, will have always been in fact, and will forevermore be the only solution to a lot of the anger that comes from a populace that has historically been so marginalized that it is a a major, it's an endemic, right? It's a problem when people have to live a certain quality of life because of their inability to access quality health care because it's so expensive here in America. Now, moreover, the way to not solve that is by committing crimes against people that are targeted and at the end of the day really aren't responsible for policy reform. And I'm speaking to everyone out there. Obviously, moreover, on ode to the Americans, right, that are specifically here as a part of this populace and live in a country that does not provide its citizens basic universal health care. Um, Again, it's a touchy subject because so many millions of lives have been impacted by the cost of healthcare and quite honestly the really lack of accountability, the downright torturing of elderly people in some senior homes. There are some terrible cases of mistreatment towards human beings within the healthcare system on their own accord, right? Not just the fact that even the lowest of all of us on the socioeconomic ladder do not have access to routine health care. So that could mean an annual pap smear for ladies. That could mean an annual breast exam. This could mean just an annual physical examination. All of these things that are very much utilized in middle class and higher middle class lifestyles as sort of a gauge to where they're at in their life as it concerns that particular time with health. And so, you know, it's kind of the only way to get what we want in this country, ladies, gentlemen, they, them, is to seriously pass policy that allows for there to be universal basic income, because then there would be no reason whatsoever for unjustifiable acts against humanity to be committed because of, what we ultimately, I guess, all kind of understand, which is really weird too. But then in that same regard, it's also non-justifiable, and you should never resort to violence to get anything done. Moreover, it kind of just impedes real gradual success that has been already made. It kind of stops that, in fact, not just impedes. But so there's kind of a tricky area that must be addressed and be, talked about. And again, I just am not about unaliving people for any reason. You feel me? It's just, I don't believe in the death penalty. And again, being somebody that has these beliefs, I have absolutely been in the worst kinds of conversations with people as it concerns why I feel like there should not be a death penalty. And the extreme examples of just heinous, monstrous acts towards humanity that, again, cannot ever be justified. But in that same conversation, it must also be had as to why these circumstances presented themselves, what could have been done to prevent this kind of provocation of such violence. And again, all while understanding that violence is never the answer. And right now, CEO, forget that, forget United Healthcare. There's a family out there right now that doesn't have their dad coming home. There's a family out there right now that will never get to see their husband. You feel me? More on over specifically a wife. But that sucks. The guy that's responsible for being the chief executive officer at United Healthcare is not the guy that passes laws that concern how United States citizens get access to quality healthcare or any healthcare. That's literally not his job. And so how can we justify the act committed in Midtown Manhattan today? It can't be. And again, there's some sad people out there right now. These sad people are not concerned about bottom lines for United Healthcare. They're not concerned about anything other than their dad or their husband not being around forever. And so it's really important that we talk about these things because, it's not the way to solve what is happening. And again, take it from somebody who goes far and above out of their way to criticize our government, to criticize our politicians, to criticize social commentators. Again, I'm the dude, I guess. I'm that guy. I do those things. So I just really would strongly recommend to all of you that when you really need to address a problem, you really need to like approach it in a way that has some sustenance, some substance, that's actually going to provide tangible results that can be measured later on. Because all of what, can happen in a moment's notice because of the way you feel is not always going to get the best kind of results. And in fact, it most likely statistically will provide you with the lowest kind of success margins to ratio possible. I'm not a math guy, I'm not for sure on that, but I can safely assume that it's something like that. Listen, condolences to that particular family. Because again, this is not a question of policy reform. And unaliving the CEO of United Healthcare is going to do nothing for you at home. Like, at all. And in fact, wouldn't it elicit kind of the opposite response? Wouldn't, like, the board members at CEO United Healthcare kind of be, like, upset that, like, a private citizen was taken out of this world because of somebody's feelings on a subject that is still at large, who potentially could harm other people and who has already proven to the world that they're a psychopath because they literally fatally shot somebody in broad daylight in one of the largest cities in the world? So again, condolences. First and foremost, condolences. What happened today was not okay. It should never happen, and it's not the way to go about change. So if we're actually interested in real change, call your politicians, call your senators. Like, this trends on TikTok. You don't gotta watch me or listen to me to hear these things. I mean, young people were so upset about the TikTok ban, they were actually calling their elected officials. Can you imagine? Lines that haven't been ringing for decades just blowing up all of a sudden. And Gwendolyn over here, who hasn't had a phone call since 1988, since Reagan left office, you feel me? Nothing happens, and then all of a sudden, like, there's a million phone calls from young, upset people because they're not happy with what's going on. So, like, we should all take a lesson from that. And we should all be so motivated to do that very basic thing to ensure that it's okay to walk around in the streets and not worry about some rando coming at you on some fatal because they don't like you or because they think it's justifiable because of what they think you represent. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say that the dude was, like, so altruistic that, there was a halo around his self, because that's silly. But he was a human being, and we should all think of each other in that way. Because if we did, maybe we wouldn't be so concerned about coming back on the fallout when it's on something that is completely out of this guy's hands. Out of his hands. Just 100%. So long as the medical world and industry operates in its current state, that's something that is never going to change. And it's something that can only change if you on the other side of the screen, decide that it's important enough to change. And again, I feel like public safety and trust and being civil and having laws and having dignity, I think these things are sort of intrinsic in their own right. And I think we should all be so lucky to aspire for these things. But we first got to get off the notion that it's okay to go off on somebody in a violent way because of what you think they represent. It's not all right. And again, condolences, because that sucks. You think when this guy got hired on as CEO, he was, like, ready to be unalived for the cause? Like, did he sign up for the military? Nah, man. This dude signed up and got to be a CEO of one of the biggest companies in the world. And then, like, we're going to hate on the dude so much that somebody went out of their way to do this? I'm a broken record now. You've heard what I've had to say on the subject. I hope that you guys have a really good night, okay? And seriously, it's not just because it's the holidays, but like, really place value on life, not just your own, but other people. Because without that very basic trust, the world may as well be in the middle of hell, right on fire, because I guess we wouldn't really deserve to be anywhere else. Like, be your best self. Think about what you do before you do it. And don't get violent when things don't go your way. You feel me? Scream into a pillow. Shout obscenities. Visit your local retail store for whatever it is you may need to purchase to get you on through the next day. We're all in the same boat. And unaliving people for any reason or becoming violent for any reason is hard to justify. And in this particular case, what happened this morning in Midtown Manhattan to the CEO of United Healthcare was absolutely unjustifiable. And, only time will tell when they find the person who has still not been caught, right? The most recent update from 3 hours ago is that the person is still at large. So again, have a good night, guys. Thank you for watching my show. Thank you for listening to me talk. I really do appreciate it. And I'll talk to you guys real soon, okay? Bye.